Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of our UFC show inside of our main show, the Degenerate Disseminators podcast. I'm your host, Jordan, and we have our co host, Daniel, with us today.
Hey guys.
So, going over this UFC, we're going over Whittaker versus Degenerate. However, interesting card this weekend at UFC 318. Um, Daniel, maybe it's just me. I was a little underwhelmed by the main card. What do you think?
Didn't I say in the last podcast that it should just be a fight night?
Yeah, but
Is that not what I said? And that the BMF belt should be retired and should never be allowed to be a thing again.
yeah. So yeah, for the main card, every fight was a unanimous decision, and every underdog won. Um, I mean, Max Holloway was a slight favorite, but it was like the closest to a pick 'em out of all these fights. Um, Most surprising to me, was the Kevin Holland and Daniel Rodriguez fight. I thought that was a layup for Kevin Holland, and he gets dropped a couple times in that fight, and ends up losing unanimously.
I
Um,
also said this in the last podcast.
all right, my fault, guys. Um, to be fair, I did say it kind of depended on, we've seen Kevin Holland show up and it seems like he kind of doesn't really want to be there. Kind of looked like, like he was in that fight, but I guess it just wasn't enough. Um, Patricio Pitbull gets his first UFC win. He's actually ranked now. I believe he's number 11 in 145. Let me double check. Yeah. He moves all the way up to number 11. Could see some potentially, some very exciting matchups for him. Um, Michael Johnson gets a win. Over
Let's go.
yeah, he looked really good in that fight. I can't even lie. I think it was it 30-27? I don't remember. Might have been 29-28, but it's unanimous regardless. It was very clear that Michael Johnson won. Good for him.
We'll see
Um,
Michael Johnson get a title fight.
that just get destroyed by Ilya Taporia. That'd be awesome.
Dude, but it would be awesome, bro. What if he wins?
Goofiest title run in UFC history. It's gotta be.
Dude, it would be so fucking cool.
Another guy who I thought, was it kind of depended on if they showed up that night or not was Paulo Costa. He also gets unanimous decision win against Roman Kopylov. Um, Good for Paulo. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the guy, but he looked good in his fight. And I'm sure, as you guys all know, Max Holloway does get the unanimous decision victory over Dustin Poirier, which was pretty surprising in my opinion. He did look way stronger in this fight. He dropped Dustin a couple times in the first round, mind you. And even Dustin dropped him at one point, and he recovered pretty well. Um, as far as what's next for Max, I don't know. As we know, there's a pretty big line in the lightweight division right now, but I think he also did move up. I think he's number 4 in the light. Yeah, let me see. Uh, yeah, he moves up to number 4. So I think he's gonna need to win one more. Who that one more is against, I don't know.
Eddie Pimblett.
If I'm playing matchmaker here, I think I would. I know we make these jokes like we got to stop putting our favorite fighters against each other, but I want to see him against Charles at 155.
That'd be interesting.
They had that one
Yeah.
fight many years ago, and I think it was Charles Oliveira's larynx collapsed on him in the fight.
Yeah, his he tore his
Yeah, or
esophagus or
something.
some
Yeah.
shit.
So I mean, Max did win on paper, but I'm sure both of them would like to get a full scrap at it again. And I wouldn't mind seeing that. Um,
Who do you
what
think
a,
wins that?
I don't know if Max shows up like he did in just now against Dustin. I mean, I think he poses a lot of problems for Charles.
Yeah.
I think Dustin is
I think Max
definitely.
155 is great, dude. He's a great fight. He's definitely better than 145, I think.
Yeah, I think now that he's like staying here full time and not just like on some stupid interim champion thing that he wasn't really supposed to get 2 years ago. Now that he's here to stay, I'm very excited to see what comes next for him. But I do think he would beat Charles. Dustin's defense is really great, and he even was able to find him a lot. And Charles Oliveira has been getting hit a lot, and apparently Max has knockdown power now. and, who knows how far that could take him in a fight against Oliveira. As far as the prelims fights that we talked about, Robert Valentine, this fight pissed me off. Robert Valentine gets rocked like bad in the first 20 seconds, and he's emoting like he's like, "Come here." can we stop doing this? I feel like it's a very common thing now in the UFC where someone just gets blasted and they're like, yeah, yeah, bring it on, and then they just get knocked out. He gets KO'd in a minute. So pretty disappointing there. Um, Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen was a good fight. We did pick Brendan Allen, so I know the main card didn't really go our way, but we got one right, and then we also got Vinicius Oliveira right. That was a good fight, good back and forth scrap against Kyler Phillips, and I'm sorry this might trigger you, Daniel, but Adam Fugit got flatlined by a Versace model. I
No!
know, I know.
No!
DC was low key glazing that guy in the
Why?
commentary. He was like, he's so
Bro.
pretty. And then he won the fight and he was like, yeah, I got a Versace shoot on Monday. I gotta go, guys. What a life. You knock out Adam Fugit and you go be a designer model. But yeah,
Bro.
overall, I will admit, guys, Daniel was right. Maybe this should have been a fight night. Because we have a fight night this Saturday we're about to talk about. And I think it might be better now. Maybe a little biased because we watch these fights and they weren't the best. But yeah, overall, main event was awesome. I think it was a good send off for Dustin Poirier. But other than that, I was pretty disappointed. Um, how are you feeling that Dustin Poirier is gone?
Not good.
No.
But um, you know, it's nice to not see him ever lose a fight again.
Yeah, and
So I guess that's good. But other than that, man, it kind of sucks because he was great to watch, man. It
yeah,
was a good time.
and not for nothing, all credits to Max. Love also one of my favorite fighters. But I think
Oh
this
yeah.
fight really did show it was Dustin's time, even though a lot of people were saying it wasn't. Obviously, the nerves, jitters of it being your retirement fight in your hometown maybe got to him, like we did talk about a little bit. But it was his first time losing back-to-back fights professionally. And he lost to a guy he's beaten twice. So all credits to Max, but I did think the most important thing that came out of it, it really showed that Dustin's time was up. And I'm glad, he got out of it before we see him go like on a 5-fight skid. Um,
Yeah. Get knocked out like Tony Ferguson, man. That would suck.
yeah, but that's enough for UFC 318. We're moving into Whittaker versus DeRitter. This is in Abu Dhabi, I think. I don't know. I kind of get all these weird places they go mixed up. Um, Interesting card. We're in the year of UFC 2025 guys. Beating Bo Nickel gets you a title eliminator fight. Who would have thought? um, I'm a big fan of this card. Got a lot of good fights. We're gonna kind of try and focus on a few of them here. We kind of touched up on a lot of them last week. Got a lot of them wrong, so we got to dial back in here. Starting off in the prelims. If you guys aren't aware, Bryce Mitchell is moving back down to 135. Um,
Oh my god.
I don't really like Bryce Mitchell.
I don't think anybody does, man.
I don't know. Unfortunately, a lot of UFC fans are kind of dumb, and I think he does have a strong fan base somehow still. He's fighting Saeed Nurmagomedov. Out of all like this Dagestan incest tribe, whatever you want to call it, I think Saeed has been the least successful. Coming off a UD loss to Vinicius Oliveira. He's picked up some wins in the UFC, but he has lost. He lost to Raoni Barcelos and Jonathan Martinez. Not
Oh
really,
man.
top of the line guys, and he is 33. He's a little on the older side. Um, but yeah, Bryce Mitchell is also coming off a loss against John Silva, but I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this one. Like I said, I might be a little biased. I don't really like Bryce Mitchell. And the whole thing about him being too small for featherweight doesn't really make sense to me because bro's kind of big for 145, let alone 135. He's 5'10". He's a pretty big frame. Um, and I don't know. He wasn't saying he was too small when Josh Emmett flatlined him. Maybe this weight cut's too much. Um, but I will, give Bryce Mitchell some credit. He has faced a lot of the best guys in 145. John Silva, Josh Emmett, Dan Ige, who he beat. He faced Ilya Taporia and actually, had some good moments in that fight. So if I had a pick here, as long as Bryce Mitchell doesn't show up like looking like a skeleton, I think this is a good spot for him. looks like he's moving back to moving down to 135 full time, and I think this is a good spot for him to start off on a winning note. What do you think, Dan?
Um, I mean, yeah, everything you said is pretty valid, but he's fighting a Dagestani man.
Yeah.
And at
And
the end of the day, I mean, this guy hasn't like I don't know. Saeed took like 2 years off basically.
um,
Lost to Vinicius Oliveira, and now he's fighting Bryce Mitchell. I mean,
yeah,
I feel like he could do it. I don't know what the odds are, but I'd say this is a pick 'em.
yeah. I would imagine it's close, especially Bryce is moving down. I feel like moving up is always a lot easier in the UFC. It's like it's a common
Yeah,
belief.
this weight cuts are brutal,
Like your
man. These
hardest
guys are
opponent.
like about to pass out.
Yeah, usually people say like your hardest opponent, like in MMA, is like the best person in the weight class below you. But now like the script is flipped here because he's going down. So I don't know the math on that part, but I would agree though. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets some betting odds that are close to even. Unfortunately we are still a few days out from this card, so we don't really have many odds except the main event, which we'll get to in a minute. We're moving into the main card now. Nikita Krylov versus Bogdan Guskov. I don't really care if I'm being honest, guys. These are both heavy hitters. I believe Nikita Krylov just got knocked out by Dominic Reyes in his last fight, if I'm not mistaken. Do what you want with that information. And if I'm not mistaken, also Bogdan Guskov in his last fight, he was ranked and he fought an unranked. He fought a debutant as a ranked light heavyweight. I don't really know how that worked out, but he also did struggle in that fight. If I am thinking of the right guy, which I think I am, but um, Asu Almabaya versus Jose Ochoa. I've watched a couple of Almabaya's fights. Pretty good, all around fighter. But I don't really know much about Jose Ochoa, if I'm being honest. So, not going to give my 2 cents on that fight. But a fight I will give my 2 cents on is Shara Magomedov versus Marc Andre Barrialt. I hate that they're just shoving the Shara guy down our throat. If I'm being honest, do you like this guy, the one-eyed guy?
Not really, man. I mean, I guess it's cool that he's fighting with one eye, but it's kind of like a big thing. I don't think it should be. I think he should just be treated like any other fighter because he hasn't done anything that's like really like he had that one like spinning back fist and KO, which was really cool. But I'm pretty sure it was against like a nobody fighter.
Pretty
So
much.
like I don't remember who he knocked out with that.
Armand
So like
Petrosian.
yeah, fuck that guy. So I mean, I don't know. I guess he's cool, but he should just be treated like any other fighter until he, does something cool. Because just because he has one eye, I mean, yeah, he's at a severe disadvantage every time he fights, but like he needs to fight like real people before, he gets that kind of recognition that they're giving him, I think.
To me, he's kind of becoming a gimmick. If that makes sense, it's like a circus act.
Yeah,
Like, guys, Shara's
exactly.
fighting. He can't fight
The guy with
anywhere.
one eye.
Yeah, he can't
The guy
fight
with one
anywhere
eye is
besides
fucking
Saudi
fighting.
Arabia and like Abu Dhabi, all the weird
Yeah, they
outlandish
don't let
places.
him fight
Yeah,
outside
because
of his own fucking country.
yeah, he can't. The commission literally will not let him fight. So I like seeing people work their way to the top. But the thing is, with a guy like this, if you can only fight in one place, it's very hard to do so. Um, but I think he's gonna come off he's gonna get a win, get back in the win column. He did lose unanimous decision to Michael Venom Page, who I actually also don't really like that much. But we'll save that for another day. I do. He has a fight against Jared Cannonier coming up, but
Oh boy.
yeah, he's fighting Marc Andre Barrialt, coming off a knockout win against Bruno Silva, in May. It wasn't that long ago. I didn't realize that it was that quick of a turnaround. Um, I believe he's the only person to knock out Bruno Silva. Actually, hold up. Let me fact check that really quick. Yeah, he's the only person to knock out Bruno Silva. But it's Bruno Silva. He has 13 losses. But do what you want with that information. Like I
Whatever.
said, he's not the best. He had a 3-fight skid against Chris Curtis, Joe Pyfer, and Stoltzfus. Don't know who that is, if I'm being honest. But yeah, like I said, Chara's kind of a gimmick. think he has a little bit of Dana White privilege, if I'm being honest. He fought someone of a somewhat higher level, of Michael Venom Page, who I still don't really think is that good of a mixed martial artist for UFC standards. He lost, and now they're giving him kind of a layup. I think it's an easy win for Shara. Unfortunately, but hopefully they just don't do another Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia card for like the next year, and we won't have to see him. But yeah,
Fair enough.
not really fighting the best opponent, and I think they're kind of feeding into this circus act. So I'm gonna go Shara there. Next up we have Piotr Jan versus Marcus McGee. I saw a lot of things online saying like, oh, why is this a fight? Jan is still very good. And it's really hard to convince someone to want to fight that guy. If I'm being honest. He did have a little skid. Let me bring up his stats here really quick. He beat Davison Figueiredo, who was kind of like this new boogeyman of the bantamweight division since he moved up, and kind of fraud checked him.
Yeah, frog.
Yeah. Coming off back-to-back wins against Song Yadong at UFC 299, and then another UD win against Davison Figueiredo, and in that Figueiredo fight, he kind of beat the brakes off him for 25 minutes. It was not a pretty sight. Then we got Marcus McGee. Hasn't lost in the UFC. This is only his 5th UFC appearance, which is very scary. And this is definitely the biggest jump in competition. His last fight was against Jonathan Martinez, and now you're fighting a former world champion who has multiple title defenses. Props to Marcus McGee for, signing that contract. Like I said, I do think this fight was just made purely out of no one wanting to fight Jan, because who wants to fight Jan? But I just think McGee's outgunned here. We know Jan has the pace to go all out for 5 rounds. This is a 3-round bout, if I'm not mistaken. And that's very scary for a guy like Marcus, who hasn't trained, hasn't had that 5-round experience. But then you're having a guy with all this 5-round experience in a much shorter fight, and Jan's just gonna be throwing everything he's got at him in that shorter time frame. And I think Jan should be like a -500 fight.
Fair enough, man. I mean, yeah, I guess I'd have to agree. I like Jan. I think he's a great fighter. And like you said, he has so much more experience than McGee. McGee, from what I'm seeing here, he's only fought in the UFC twice, other than this fight.
No, this would be he's going into his 5th UFC fight against Jan.
Okay. Still, not nearly enough experience to be going up against a former champ with multiple title defenses, but we'll see what happens. Anything can happen in the octagon. I think Marcus McGee has a lot of hype around him, obviously. Based on, the jump in competition. I think they think he's ready for somebody like Jan. So, who knows? We'll see. Maybe he ends up winning.
Also, I did lie. Jan does not have title defenses, but it's a little weird scenario because he beat Jose Aldo, then the DQ with Aljo happened, and then he fought Corey Sandhagen for the interim belt and won, and then lost to Aljamain. My bad, guys.
Bottom line is he has a lot of championship experience.
Yes, 4 UFC title fights and a win against Jose Aldo. One of the greatest to ever do it. I think
wins.
I think it would be interesting to see if McGee can get this done. Like that definitely shake up the division a lot. But I really don't see it happening. Like, this is just too big of a jump. Like I said, all credit to Marcus for signing that contract. But I think he's playing with fire here a little too much. Give me Jan. I guess he could probably finish it if he wanted to, but I'll go unanimous decision. I think it's going to be similar masterclass we saw like Figgy, just very calculated and just picking him apart.
I agree. I agree with this.
Now we get the main event. Robert Whittaker versus Vernier de Ritter. If you told me 6 months ago that this fight was happening, I probably would have checked myself into like a mental institution. But we're here. Ever since losing the belt to Izzy back in 2019. Kind of been on and off. He won 3 right after that. Had the rematch, lost. Beat Marvin Vittori, and then got knocked out by Dricus du Plessis. 1-2 against Paulo Costa and Ikram Aliskerov, and then, as we all know, I'm sure, got his teeth snapped off against Khamzat Chimaev, which was that whole thing was very interesting. No one expected that to
Nope.
happen, really. Then we have Renier de Ritter. He's also big jump in competition. He does have 22 professional fights, but this is only his 4th UFC appearance. Um, he's faced some like pretty decent gatekeeper like opponents in Gerald Mearshart, Kevin Holland, and Bo Nickel.
Oh man,
Um, before we even get into this, that Bo Nickel fight was hilarious.
that was awesome. I'm
Yeah,
so glad. Listen, I hate Bo Nickal. I despise this guy. I think he's a fraud. I don't think he should have gotten any hype. He should not have been on the main event of the UFC 300. Fuck this guy. I'm glad he got fraud checked. It was about time, to be honest with you.
yeah. Bo Nickel's also kind of one of the like to me he was kind of just a gimmick. Um,
Yeah, he's like Shara, dude. That's what I think
yeah.
about him. It's the same
Um,
fucking.
yeah, but couple interesting things to note. Renier Ritter is actually like a huge middleweight. He's 6'4". He's a very large man.
Yeah.
Whittaker's pretty big too, but we got to remember this. This was a guy that used to fight at 170. I think come fight day, you're gonna see a big size advantage for Renier de Ritter. Um, but I think kind of similar with the Jan fight. I think this might just be a little too big of a jump for de Ritter. Um, he was a very dominant champion in the one promotion. Former champ with one, two, three title defenses. Um, you know, we did talk about it a little bit with the Pitbull fight last week. But I think some people kind of put too much weight on people coming from these other promotions. And I feel like we might see that here, but I really don't know because the thing with De Ritter, he's very similar to Dricus du Plessis. He's just so awkward. And we all know Dricus knocked out Robert Whittaker. Will we see that this Saturday? I really don't know.
Yes, I think it's gonna happen again.
You think the Ritter takes this?
Yeah, yeah, I do. Um, Robert Whittaker, great fighter. I like the guy personally, but the Ritter is just he's on the same wavelength as DDP. He can't fucking fight, but he can.
And I
And
think yeah,
I think it's gonna throw Whittaker off his game.
I really don't know. Let me look at the rankings really quick because I know we have Kyle I always fuck up his name, Borhalo versus I just had a Bilal moment. Nasruddin Imavov. Um, Supposedly this is the number one contender fight. But the thing is, when you have a guy as goofy as Renier de Ritter, when he beat Bo Nickel, all the comments were just like gifs of like Tom and Jerry fights, and like de Ritter versus DDP would be like the most cartoon shit of all time. I think that might have
I
caught.
think it'll happen.
I,
I think it'll happen.
like, call me crazy, but I think this isn't officially like a title eliminator, but like it could be. If you think about it.
It
Um,
should be.
we have Chimaev fighting him. I think it's August 16th, something like that. Um,
Yeah.
like I said, we have Nasruddin Imavov versus Karabahalo. That's the number one contender fight. DDP's beaten Sean Strickland. That's assuming if DDP beats Khamzat Chimaev, which I think he will, but we'll save that for when that gets a little closer. Um, beat Sean Strickland twice. Beat Izzy. Beat Whittaker already. If DeRitter can pull this off, I think definitely could be a valid second or third option. Um, you know,
Oh, absolutely.
but the thing is though, like I said, we will get more in depth with this when it gets closer to the DDP versus Khamzat fight. But if Khamzat wins, it's definitely going to slow down the middleweight division very poorly. He is not very active. So if we do want to see DeRitter versus DDP, DDP needs to get it done against Khamzat first. But we're looking too far ahead. Um, yeah, I don't know. I really don't know about this fight. Whittaker is, he's been up and down. we haven't seen enough of DeRitter in the UFC yet, but I think Daniel does have a good point. I think the awkwardness might just throw Whittaker off, but I really don't know.
Gonna happen.
I do
It's
believe the
gonna
odds are
happen.
actually pretty close, which I found surprising. Let me see here. Um, yeah, Whittaker's about minus 160 and DeRitter's plus 135. Might be. Hey, DeRitter was a pretty heavy underdog against Bo Nickel. I bet on that fight. I made some money that night.
I
DeRitter
think he takes it, man.
DeRitter might
DeRitter
just
by
be the
knockout.
ATM.
DeRitter by knockout. Absolute wagon, this fucking guy.
But
He's gonna
yeah,
win championships, man. Him versus DDP is gonna happen. Mark my words.
yeah.
7/23/2025. Neil said.
Who wins that fight though?
RDR
Who
versus
wins that fight if
DDP.
it does happen?
I don't know. I think they knock each other out. Goofiness cancels out, like
First ever double knockout in UFC history.
dude, I like they're both like the same caliber of fighter, man. They suck at fighting, but they're so good at it. I think they just knock each other out with the goofiness.
Yeah, I think it would literally just be like round one, DDP pulls out like a big inflatable hammer and bonks him.
Yeah,
Round two,
exactly.
DeRitter throws out a fucking old piano on his head. I don't know, but I'd love to see it. So
Yeah.
I as much as I
Listen.
love Robert Whittaker, been watching long time legend of the sport. Kind of rooting for DeRitter here.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I really want to see him get a title shot,
No,
bro.
DeRitter, like this is
Oh
actually
man.
like the chance to do the funniest thing ever in
No, bro.
UFC history.
DeRitter is gonna get knocked out in this fight, and then another DeRitter is gonna walk out and say, "Hey, glad I'm not that guy," and then knock Whittaker out.
But the thing is, with a fight like this, I guess like really, what's next? Like let's say if Whittaker does win this fight, right? He's lost either guy who's going to be champion more than likely, given it's DDP or Khamzat. I don't know. It seems like the UFC's kind of delaying Imavov getting a shot. He's not really a marketable guy, whatever. That's more the business side of things. Whittaker's lost to both of these guys by finish. So if he wins,
He get shit.
yeah, I guess like him versus Strickland would be cool. I guess.
Have they fought yet?
I don't believe so. I feel like I would remember that, but then again, I don't find Sean Strickland to be that good of a fighter, so I could see myself forgetting that. Um, um, no, he has not fought Sean Strickland.
I'd
Um,
say that's a good. I mean, if Whittaker wins, I think that's a good fight to make. I
I think
guess
that's the
whoever
only
wins
fight you
that
can make for
gets
Whittaker unless he
to
wants to fight some lower ranked guy again, like he did with Ikram, but that was a different situation. He was supposed to
yeah.
fight. I think he was supposed to
I
fight
think he'd
Khamzat then.
want to fight Strickland. Winner of that maybe gets a title shot. Thing is, if DDP's still the champ, both of them have already lost to him. John Strickland losing to him twice now.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. That's kind of weird, man.
It's just hard because DDP has made himself such like a marketable person, like you know what I mean?
He's fucking hilarious, man. I used to
Yes.
hate this guy. I fucking love him now.
He's a funny guy. But before we wrap things off, Dana White did announce a bunch of fights today. I do have some conspiracy theories about a fight he didn't announce. So UFC 320 is going to be headlined by Ankalaev versus Pereira 2 for the light heavyweight championship. Very excited for that. Um, I wasn't gonna give my early thoughts, but fuck it, I'll give them. I don't know about this one. Dana, you watched that fight, the first one with us, right? You were there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, I don't know. I was like appalled with how that fight turned out. Pereira seemed like he was just holding back.
Wasn't
Um,
his hand broken though?
he said his hand was broken, but then after the fight, he said it was his left hand, and then the hand he wasn't throwing was his right hand or something like
Yeah.
that. I don't know, but
No, he wasn't throwing his left at all during that fight. His left is like the fucking power hand. That's the one that he knocks everybody out with. He wasn't throwing it at all, and we were yelling at the TV for him to throw it. So like I wasn't surprised when he was like, "Yeah, that shit's broken, dude." Like,
but
I don't know.
yeah, I remember watching that. We could kind of tell like very early on to the fight that Pereira was not gonna win. He just seemed way too focused on the takedown. Um, I think this is definitely a winnable fight. It's Alex Pereira. I feel like he can beat relatively anyone at 205, as long as he's not scared of getting taken down. But that's going to be co-main evented by Merab Valashvili versus against Ori Sandhagen.
Oh
Um,
fuck, man.
Definitely a deserved title shot for Sandhagen. But you can't fade Merab. Um, I think if Sandhagen wants to win, he has to get him out of there like within the first couple minutes. Um,
Yeah,
the further you
he's
go
gonna
into
have
a
to
fight with
let.
Merab, you're screwed. I was impressed with Corey Sandhagen's ground game against Figueredo when he popped his knee out. Very good jiu-jitsu scrambles in that fight, but wrestling and jiu-jitsu are two very different ball games, and I think he definitely has his work cut out for him against Merab. That's going to be a little, but that's definitely a tricky matchup for him. And the feature fight for UFC 320 is Yuri Prohaska versus Khalil Roundtree. That's my main event, honestly.
That's a fucking fight and a half right
Daniel and I
there,
have been
man.
speculating, like we've been saying we need this fight for so long, and now we're finally getting it.
It's about fucking time, man.
Also an
I'm so
interesting
excited
matchup
for that.
though. Two very unorthodox guys throw a lot of weird strikes. Both have knockout power. Um, this is definitely not going the distance. I can guarantee you that someone is hitting the canvas hard in this fight. Um, I really don't know who to pick there though. Do you have? Are you leaning anyone right now or
I want to say, I don't know, because they've fought the same. I'm leaning more towards Roundtree because of
really?
his performance against Pereira. Because I mean, obviously he got fucking destroyed, but he did a lot more against Pereira than we had seen anybody do. Obviously Jerry has already fought him twice, so it's like I don't know. Based on that performance, I want to say Khalil has a better chin
Hmm.
and slightly better striking ability, or at least maybe a little bit more unorthodox. I don't know. Jerry's also a strange fighter, but I don't know. I'm leaning slightly towards Roundtree for this one.
It's close for me, but I think I gotta lean Yuri. I I think he's more unorthodox. But I don't know. His last fight against Jamal Hill was kind of weird. Um, Yuri. If we want to, compare opponents, Khalil had 5 rounds with Jamal Hill and couldn't finish him, and Yuri Prohaska put
I
him
don't
away.
think it's that he couldn't finish him. I think Khalil Roundtree was trying to hurt him.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I don't. I didn't
Like I
really.
think he wanted that fight to go 5 rounds so he could do exactly what he did to him in that fight. He beat
Yeah,
the fucking shit out of him, bro.
I didn't see
I
too much.
think
Like,
in contrast, Jiri took a lot more heavy shots from Jamal Hill
yeah,
than Khalil Roundtree did in that fight. Khalil dominated him. Like actually like he knocked him down so many fucking times and he kept telling him, get up, get up. I want to do it again, dude. It was beautiful to watch. I don't like Jamal Hill, so that was great. But
yeah. I didn't
yeah,
see too
dude,
much for like the build up for that fight, but apparently, like, they really did not like each other. And
they were beefing, man.
if Khalil really wanted to make him suffer, I think then yes, probably he did a good job at it.
I think
But
that's what he wanted.
we did see some improvements in Yuri Prohaska's game in his last fight against Jamal Hill. Was that his last? Has he not fought since then? I feel like that was a while ago.
No, I don't think so.
Uh, Yuri actually moved his head in that fight. Could could, could work for
Oh
him
my god.
coming into this one, but yeah, we'll dive more into that when the fight comes. And then UFC 321, my precious Tom Aspinall
It's
is
about fucking time this guy got a fight.
yeah,
Jesus
defending
Christ.
his undisputed. You hear that guy's undisputed heavyweight championship against Cyril Gahn. Um, I mean, I gotta go Aspinall, but this is definitely a tricky matchup for him. Gahn is also a very quick and agile heavyweight, but we've never seen this quickness out of a heavyweight like Tom Aspinall. Um, like I said, kind of similar to Merab versus Sandhagen. If Gahn wants to win, I think he really needs to take kind of the opposite, I guess. Gahn just has to survive.
Yeah, pretty much, dude.
We haven't seen a
He has to
round two.
find the perfect shot.
Yeah, but we haven't seen Aspinall outside of round one in years. So I think if Gahn can just kind of weather the storm, which we haven't seen anyone be able to do in Tom's recent fights. I do think his chances of winning this fight go up, but I don't know. I just really like Tom. I think he's the best heavyweight we've seen in a long time. I do think Cyril Gane definitely has his work cut out for him in this one.
Yeah,
But
it
I did
really
say,
sucks because there's nobody in heavyweight that's like that great anymore. It seems,
but
except for Tom Aspinall. He
I
doesn't
think
have
the
that much
closest
competition.
one is gone, but there's still a very big gap. I feel like, which says a lot. Um,
Yeah,
but yes, like I said, we'll definitely talk about more of these in depth when these come around. But I did say there was a fight that wasn't announced, surprisingly. UFC 319, which is Dricus versus Kamzat, still doesn't have a co-main event. But we're getting main events and co-main events for UFC 320 and UFC 321. A little strange, but if you guys remember, I don't know if it was on UFC Embedded or just like some vlog Dricus was doing. He just flat out said, "Oh yeah, the co-main event is Patty versus Justin." Um, so this was a while ago. This was multiple weeks ago. But
fuck, bro.
my thought process, I think DDP got himself in some trouble with that one, and that's why they're not announcing it. So in my head, that's what I'm mentally preparing for. Um, yeah, I would love to see that, but if that isn't the case, maybe DDP ruined it for everyone, and now that fight has been delayed. Who knows? But that's where my head's at. I think that's really the only thing that makes sense for that card. Um, Especially given it's less than a month out. I really don't know. Do you have any speculations on this, or do you think that's gonna be it?
I mean, I didn't hear about DDP releasing that information, so I don't really know who else could fight as a co-main in that event specifically. But if that fight does happen, I'm taking Paddy Pimblett.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. I think he would be favored in that fight. Funnily enough, like significantly, like probably close to like -200. That's just me though. I'm not an odds maker. I don't know. But I would like to see it. But I don't know. I feel like the only like there's no other reason for it. Like there's no way they just don't have an opponent or like they don't have a match made. I feel like DDP actually did just kind of overshare a little bit. And
Yeah, I
they're
mean,
trying to build the hype for the announcement, just some marketing jargon. But
yeah,
yeah,
probably.
bottom line is us UFC fans, we have a lot to look forward to in the coming months. It's going to be a great second half of the year for UFC. And usually we get the crazy cards in like December, November, like the very end of the year. And if we're getting these already, I can't even imagine what is in store, to round off the year. But yeah, guys, I think that's gonna do it for us tonight. Um, Maybe make some plays official. Like I said, the only odds we have are for Ritter versus Whittaker. Um, do I do I say it?
Say it.
Official play. Rainier to Ritter money line. One unit.
No
Put it on it.
way.
If you want to dab, I wouldn't dab with knockouts or anything. He's plus money. I'm here for it.
I'm taking RDR by knockout. Let's
I don't even want to
go.
know what the odds for that are. It's gonna be like plus 700. Um, but yeah, if for some reason Jan is like anything less than -200, parlay him with something. That's I really, like I said, we don't have any odds. If I decide to make anything else official, they will be on our Instagram, at DD Sports Podcast. Link is down below. All of our links are there. TikTok, Spotify, all that good stuff. And yeah, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the fights this weekend. Early start time at 3 p.m. Eastern. I have to watch them at work, so I'm very excited for that. And
Let's go.
there any closing remarks from you, Daniel?
Um, RDR by falling piano, man.
Hell
That's
yeah.
it.
All right, guys, we'll catch you next week for the recap and a look at next week's card, and we'll see you in the next one.